This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, welcome to AWS training, and today's topic is S3, which is the full form is Simple Storage Solution. S3 is very, you can say, uh, basic and very most important service from AWS, and I think this is the very first service AWS launched. So you can compare with Google Drive because everyone uses like Google Drive, right? For our personal use, we keep our documents or keep our memories or something like that, right? S3 is exactly the same way. Only thing is it's from Amazon side, and it's not only for like a we just open the browser and we put some data over there, and it's not only about that. You can even access it programmatically. You can write a Python code, you can write a Java code, you can write a big data query, Spark, SQL, anything. Any type of programming language, you can use it for reading the data from S3, or you can even write the data back to S3, and many more operations. You want to create a bucket, you want to put the file, you want to rename the file, you want to delete the file, and many more stuff you can do. So we'll start the class with the agenda. So the agenda for today's class is overview of S3 service, create a bucket, S3 storage classes, data versioning, data security and encryption, bucket level policies, cross region replication, and cross account access for S3. We may not be able to complete all the points, all the topics today, because these are very like detailed topics. Most probably we'll be covering these things in 2 days, today and in the next class. Okay, let's start with the first one, creating a bucket. But even before we create a bucket, right, let's log in live in the AWS console. So as we said yesterday also, that PPT is just for your reference. During the training I usually don't go to PPT again and to and fro, because I have just taken the screenshots of few things, how to create a bucket, how to add a file into the bucket. So this will help you to do the things practically later, but as of now during the class I can show everything practical. So let me log in into my console first. Yesterday we enabled this one, MFA, right, multi-factor authentication, but I just logged in before the class, so I think it will not ask me to log in again. Okay, that's good. So when you log in into your home page, right, the dashboard, it will by default automatically show you the recently visited services. These are the recently visited: S3, IAM, EC2, Cloud9, VPC. But anyway, if S3 is not displayed in your case, you simply go here and search for it, S3. Okay, so one difference I would tell you is in Google Drive, right, we do not have concept of buckets. It's your personal drive where you can create folders and you can create different type of files and all. But S3 has a concept of bucket, and buckets are bucket names, right? Those are unique across the S3, not only across your account. It's not like that you created some bucket in your account. If I will try to create this bucket with the same name in my account, it will complain, because bucket names are unique globally. That means you have to give some name, some unique name which does not exist. So we'll do that. So very first thing, to get started, let's create a bucket. We'll click on that, create bucket. There are many configuration actually. While creating the bucket, I will keep on explaining about different aspect of it. Okay, the very first is bucket name. So I will try some name. My first bucket needs. I hope this should be a unique name. If it will complain, then we'll try to give some different name. You can see this one. Bucket name must be unique and must not contain spaces or uppercase letters. either hyphen or underscore or something, but not like spaces, and not capital. Its complete name should be in small. And one more thing I would tell you is not only bucket name, whatever thing you do on AWS, don't do camel casing like upper, lower, don't do that. Because when you will try to access it programmatically, somewhere it will fail, somewhere it will create a problem. Always make everything in small. Description is fine. If suppose there is some, because description is not a technical stuff, it's just for reading purpose. If someone is opening some resource and they want to know what's the purpose, why did we create it, so you can read the description is okay, but the resource name you should give always in small. Okay, let's come to the next one. AWS region, as we explained earlier as well, that if you host your resources in a specific region, because right now I'm in Singapore, so by default it's selecting the nearest region to me. The benefit is, because if your clients, if your users are in from a specific region, right, they will access your services from there. It would be a smoother experience for them, it would be a faster service for them. If someone is in India and they're trying to a website which is hosted in US, although it works, I'm not saying it will not work, but if some server is hosted in Mumbai and the user is trying to access from India, it would be a faster experience for them. That's the ultimate purpose. You can even select a different region, does not make much difference from a learning point of view, but whatever is coming by default, you can do that. Next is copy settings from existing bucket. Very important thing. As I said that while creating the bucket, there are many configurations we have to do. So if you have already created any bucket, suppose you have specified some security related things, some encryption related things, some versioning related things, some access policies, something, right? Now you want to create one more bucket, so you don't need to do all these things again. You can simply copy the settings from another bucket. But as of now, since we do not have any bucket, so it's okay, we'll leave it. It's anyway optional thing, we'll leave it. Moving to the next section, object ownership. It's very important concept, although usually you simply provide a bucket name, simply go to the end. I will tell you, go to the end and create bucket, it will create, because all the settings are selected by default. But we should know why that is selected, what's the meaning of that, and at any point of time you may have to change it as per your project's requirement. So we will not create blindly, we'll try to understand what these things are all about. The first one is object ownership. There are two ways, ACL disabled and ACL enabled. ACL stands for access control list. When you keep this default setting, that is like ACL disabled, all objects in the bucket are owned by this account, and that should be right, because if it's my bucket, if I'm putting any data into my bucket, I should be the owner, and not only me. Suppose I have provided the access to some other account, I gave them access that okay, you guys can copy the data into my bucket, but ownership should with me, I should be the owner of that data. Usually that we do, but sometimes it may be requirement is such that anyone other teams, right, they are copying the data into your bucket and they want that they should be the owner of it. Even that can be done. So the second point, the right side, right, if you will see this one, you can see that if I will object in this bucket can be owned by other AWS accounts. So as of now, we'll go with this one, because this is our personal bucket, this is our personal account, and whatever we create in this bucket or someone else create in our bucket, we should be the owner of it. Very simple. So we'll be going with this one. Moving to the next one, block public access settings for this bucket. This is a recommended setting from a security point of view. Just like yesterday, I shared PDF documents with all of you with some link, right? That's not a public folder. If you will share that link with your friends, right, if they will try to click on that link, they won't be able to access that Google Drive, because I didn't made it public. It is shared with only specific person, it's shared with all of you. You guys can anytime click on that and you can access it. Similarly, as you can see here, by default they have blocked all public access. That means whatever files you will put in your bucket are not publicly accessible. But in some cases, I would tell you, like, suppose you are promoting something, right? You are running some campaign, just like you are asking the people, okay, make some small video for something and upload into somewhere, right? In that case, you want to make it public because there is no security concern. You are expecting people to upload some data into your bucket. That's a different requirement. But in from an IT point of view, from a security point of view, definitely we cannot allow like public access to our data. So usually by default, it is selected block all public access. But if you want, you can definitely unselect this. And now you can see this error. I mean, not error actually, but just like a warning. It is saying that turning off block all public access might result in this bucket and object within becoming public. Yeah, we are sure. I mean, if you are unchecking this, that means simply means it will be becoming public. So it's completely your requirement. I acknowledge that the current settings might result in this bucket and objects within become public. So if you want to go with this setting, you have to acknowledge this, but will not go for this. Let's make it let's not make it public. So I will block this. Okay. Okay, before we proceed, let's take a pause. Any question till now?
No questions.
Okay, that's good. Moving to the next one, bucket versioning. This is very important concept. You copied one file today in S3. Okay, first of all, let me tell you very important thing. S3 is not a file storage. It is an object storage. You may be thinking, what's the difference? The difference is when it is file storage, right? It gives you the flexibility to open the file and to edit the file on the go. Usually like on our I would say on our Windows, right, or on your personal laptop, that is your file system. Windows file system or Linux file system, that is a file system, not object. So file system, you have the flexibility to open your file and to create some content. You can do that. But S3, if you copy some file, that is copied as a whole object. That means you cannot open it, you cannot edit it. The only way to update the content is you download the file, you update the content and upload the file again, the entire object. It's a complete replacement. That's a very important difference. So when you upload a file, suppose you upload a file today and tomorrow you will upload the file again. By default, it will replace the file. As you can see here, bucket versioning is by default disabled. But usually in our projects, programmatically stuff, right, we do not want to lose our old data. And S3 gives you the flexibility that it can maintain versions for you. That means you keep on uploading the same file again and again. It will not replace, it will maintain the version along with the date and time, along with all those details. Okay, the first version was copied on this time and second version was copied on this time, and like that. On the console, you can see multiple versions. I will show you shortly, as well as even programmatically. If you are writing some Python code and you want to access all of your versions, you are saying, okay, I want to read the content from this file, but not the latest version, from the previous version. You can do that as well. So by default, it's disabled, but we can enable it if you want. Okay. So let's enable it actually. Because I will show you how to do the versioning and all. So we'll enable it. And tags, as we always say, right, it's always optional. It's okay, not required. Default encryption. I hope you guys know what the encryption means. Encryption means encrypting your data in such a format that it's not in a human readable format. Basically, from a security point of view, even if someone get access to your data somehow, some hackers are there, they will suppose try to hack into your account and try to get your data. Even if they will get, and even if they will open the file, it won't be in the actual format as we copied, as we uploaded. It would be all just like a garbage for them. They can't understand anything. So encryption, there are many ways to do encryption. One is like client side encryption. That means you as a client, you are responsible for encrypting your data. You do your encryption, you use any technique, and once your data is encrypted, you copy into S3. That's one way. Second way is server-side encryption. This one. That means you have your file with your actual content and you don't need to worry about encryption. You simply upload the file. S3 will take care of it. S3 means AWS will do the encryption part for you, which is known as server-side encryption. So you can enable or disable as per your requirement. As of now, for training point of view, we don't need to enable it. Okay, so this is the settings, I mean, different type of configuration about a bucket. After creating the bucket, you can upload files and folders to the bucket and configure additional bucket settings. I mean, suppose today you are disabling it, but tomorrow you make your mind, okay, let me enable the encryption or let me disable the versioning. You can do at any point of time. So we are good to get started. Let's click on create bucket. You can see this message, successfully created bucket, my first bucket needs, because that was a unique name. Okay, so that's good. Now, if you will see here, it will display all the buckets here. You can see now. And if you want to create more buckets, you can even do that. So this is my bucket name. This is the region where it was created. This is the access. Buckets and objects are not public because we check that box, right? And creation date is this one. We can click on the bucket and you will get many more details actually. Yeah. First of all, objects, because we haven't uploaded anything, so that's fine. That's why you can see that objects are 0. We'll do that, but before that, let's quickly have a look at other tabs. Click on properties. You will find many more things. Region is there, creation date, and ARN. Yesterday I explained you, right? For every resource you create in AWS, there would be an ARN. That's nothing but a unique identifier. You can see here ARN colon AWS colon S3, and there are a few more colons. My first bucket needs. Did you notice one thing, one difference from yesterday's one? Yesterday's ARN, I think we checked for role, IAM role. That IAM role ARN or even policy ARN, those were containing your account number, but it does not contain. Why? Because S3 is unique. I mean, S3 name is unique across the globe. I mean, not specific to your account. That's why the ARN of S3 does not contain your account number. But if you will go for some other service which are specific to your account, those will definitely have the account number embedded inside. Okay, that's good. Come down. Let's quickly have a check. Bucket versioning we talked about, right? We made it enabled. If you want to change, you can do. Text description. Okay, server class logging, cloud trail event, server notifications, event bridge. Okay, many things are there, and you don't need to worry about each and everything. There is a static website hosting. Maybe we'll do in the next class. Static website hosting is giving you the flexibility that if you have some static content, suppose you have few HTML files, which does not communicate with some server or something, very static, just like some blog, I would say, right? Or some article you have written, or some images are there, right? Something like static website hosting you can do very easy with S3. You don't need any programming, you don't need any web server for it, you don't need any database for it. You simply put your files into some folder in S3 and that can work as a website. You can open on the browser. We'll do it in the next class. Okay, so let's go to the next tab. So there are many things actually, and we don't need to know each and everything. Those are not required, but high level I will tell you what are the things. The next one is permissions. So there are different type of permissions are there, like who can read the data, who can write the data, and all those things. Although we specified few permission in IAM role, you remember yesterday we did that, right? But it is like two-way access. We have given the access to some user or some IAM role or to some group that you can read or write the data into S3. That's fine. But even on S3 bucket level, we have to confirm that. If S3 bucket will say, okay, I allows you guys to write data into my bucket, then only we will be able to do. It's like both sides. Okay, so this is about permission. Metrics is nothing but just like your usage, how many bucket size you have consumed, how many total number of objects and all, which is not required as of now because we do not have any data. Next is management. I think that's not required. I never use that. Okay, I will tell you on very high level what are these things. Life cycle rules. When you create any bucket or any object, right, there is a S3 storage class. What S3 storage class is, I will explain in upcoming slide. Storage class is basically different type of storage mechanism. Like you want to access your data very frequently, then they will be charging more. If you say no, I don't want to access it, just store my data and done. I will access very infrequent, very rare. So they will charge you less on that. Or there can be possibility you say that I don't even want to access my data. Just put your data into some archive, and whenever I ask for it, please retrieve the data for me, but that may take some time. It won't be immediate. If you say, okay, I want my data, they may take few hours for that. But it's like, it all depends upon your requirement. If you don't want to access frequently, they will be charging you less. If you want frequent access, you are doing some processing and every day you are reading multiple times, writing multiple times, then it would be altogether different storage class, different cost and all. Okay. So this is about classes and all. So let's quickly do one thing. Let's upload one file. So any doubt, any question till now?
No.
Okay, that's good. Let's create a sample file. So I would say my first S3 file. I will write something like that. Okay, and I will save this file. Give some name, anything. Sample file .txt. Okay, I created one file, and S3 is not only about text file. As I told you, you cannot open the file, cannot edit. It's an object. That means you can put anything. If you want to upload a video, if you want to upload a PDF file, you want to text file, Excel, anything you can do. So we just created a text file and we'll be uploading this file into S3. Let's go back to this one. Okay, there's an option to upload. Just click on that. Add a files or add a folder. If you have multiple files, you can directly add the folders. Let's go with files first. Sample file, right? This one. Okay, you can see that type is text and size is this one, very small file. Destination is this one, and there are permissions. I mean, you don't need to specify permission on file level. Whatever policy you will define on bucket level, that will be applicable to all the files. So it's okay. And go to properties. You see this one, specify storage class. I was talking about the storage class, right? So let's talk about it. So this is different type of storage class. The very first one and the common, or I would say default one. Usually, because I clicked on this one, right? Properties. Otherwise, you can simply select a file, click on upload. It's done. You don't even know which storage class I used. This is just for your knowledge. So we'll click on properties and we'll show you what type of different classes available with us. Okay. The first one is standard. Frequently access data. The data which you will be processing every day, more than once a month, with milliseconds access. It's very fast. Programmatically or from a command line, from EC2 server, Python or any other programming language, you can access the data very fast. Availability zones greater than or equal to 3. As of now, all the regions AWS has given 3 availability zone. I was talking about A, B, and C, right? So US East 1A, US East 1B, US East 1C. These are 3 different availability zones. But why they are mentioning is greater than 3? Because in future they may add, suppose, few more availability zones, right? So whatever availability zones are available with AWS, it will be replicated on that. That means, unfortunately, if one availability zone is down, you can still get your data from some other availability zone. They keep the data redundant. Okay, there is no minimum duration. It's completely fine. There is no minimum object size, and there are a few more details. Retrieval fee, there is no retrieval fee. It's okay. That's default, by default. It's fine. Next one is intelligent tiering. So basically, intelligent tiering I will cover at the end, because intelligent tiering is basically combination of all this type, right? So let's move to the next one. Standard IA. IA means infrequent access. I was telling you one example, right? That you copied some data, but you don't want to access it, don't want to read it, don't want to process it. So that is fine. You can select this class and you can see this one, infrequent access data. So you hardly need to access it once a month or something like that. You can go with this one. Availability zone is greater than equal to 3. We have one more flavor of infrequent, 1 John IA. Same only, but the only difference is this will be maintained in only in 1 John. That means you are saying that, okay, I have some data, I don't want to access it, I mean don't want to frequently access it. At the same time, you don't need to maintain in multiple availability zones. Why? Because it is recreatable. Try to understand the difference. If somehow your availability zone is down and you are maintaining only in one availability zone, right? That simply means you cannot access your data from other availability zones. But that is fine for you. You are saying, okay, this data I have generated from my job or from some of my queries or something. If unfortunately we will lose the data, I can reproduce it. If you want to go with that, it's okay, you can do that. So you can see this site. These are all other details like minimum storage duration. You have to, minimum storage duration means they will be charging for those many days. If you copy some data today and if you delete after 5 days, does not matter for AWS. They will be charging you for minimum 30 days. And you can see that the retrieval fees per GB fees applicable. So the major difference between these two is they are maintaining the data into 3 availability zones, and this one is 1 John IA. This one they are maintaining only in 1 John. Coming to the next category, Glacier instant retrieval. Glacier is like archive data, long-lived archive data accessed once a quarter with instant retrieval in milliseconds. It will be maintained in some archives, but even if you want to read it, it would be faster. You can do that, and there will be few other conditions like this one. I mean, minimum number of days and all this thing. The next one is long-lived archive data accessed once a year. See that this is once a quarter, this is once a year, and with retrieval of minutes to hours. You cannot expect them that they will give you like within seconds. That won't happen. It may take few minutes to few hours. And one more is there, Glacier deep archive, as the name indicates. If you will ask for the data, they will take few hours, not even minutes. It will take few hours. Suppose you requested the data today, they may take like 6 hours to retrieve the data and give it back to you. Basically, the point is you don't need to remember all these things. It's completely okay. But you should know on a high level that S3 bucket have different type of storage classes depending upon your requirement. You want to frequently access, don't want to frequently access, you want to put into archive, and even in archive there are different categories. That if you are okay with retrieval time of few hours, you can go with Glacier deep archive. They will be charging you lesser because retrieval time is more. If you're going with Glacier instant retrieval, definitely they are giving you within milliseconds, so they will be charging that. Okay, so there is one more, reduce redundancy. Reduce redundancy means that non-critical data. That means they will not maintain duplicate copies, frequently access data with millisecond access, and they are saying not recommended as S3 standard is more cost effective. So I never use this reduced redundancy. You can, even AWS, they themselves are saying that it's not recommended and S3 standard is more cost effective. So by default, we'll go with S3 standard only. And coming to this one, which we didn't discuss, right? Intelligent tiering. If you don't know which class I should select, because there are many and less or more they are similar and I'm getting confused, right? Let's go with intelligent tiering. So data with changing or unknown access pattern, because in the beginning you are saying that, okay, I want to copy this data into S3 bucket, but whether I will access it daily or I will access it once a month or I will access it once a year, I don't know. I don't have any idea on that. In that case, let's go with intelligent tiering. Amazon will take care automatically depending upon your access pattern. Suppose you are accessing more frequently, they will treat it as a standard. If you are not accessing it, they will treat it as a infrequent access, something like that. So if you are confused, you can go with intelligent tiering. Otherwise, for normal use cases, simply go with the standard one, the default one. Okay, I hope that is clear. Server-side encryption, we talked about, right? Either you encrypt your data or you leave it to the AWS, they will encrypt. So we selected that, right? Now there are two things. You want to specify an encryption key. I mean, encryption will be done by AWS only, but there is an encryption key which will be used to do the encryption. You may be interested to provide that key. So if that is the case, you can specify, and you can see now Amazon S3 managed keys and S3 key management. One thing is S3 itself is capable of creating its KMS key, encryption key, and then encrypt your data. Usually we can go with the first option. But there is a separate service, KMS, key management service, which is only for creating the KMS key. This KMS service will not encrypt your data. Try to understand the difference. KMS is not for encrypting your data. KMS is only creating the KMS key for you. And the key will be used for encrypting the data. Okay, so let's not make it complicated. Let's go with very simple one, Amazon S3 managed key. That means key will be created by S3 and data will be encrypted by S3, and there is no headache for the user. So we'll go with this one. That's all. Tags are not required. These are not required. We'll upload. So just for our learning purpose, I explained all these things to you. Otherwise, it's very simple. Let me go back. I will show you quickly. Leave. Okay. We'll click on upload. We'll click on add files. We'll select the file, and we are good. No need to check anything else. Simply upload. That's all. Upload successful. Because it was a small file, it was like quickly uploaded. You can see that 100% uploaded file, and the file is displayed here. There is no folder, type, size, status. There is no error. If you want to check some configuration, you can see here storage class, right? We selected as this one, standard. Server side encryption, this one. Why? Okay. I canceled it and then I uploaded the file, right? That's fine. Okay, so the file is uploaded, right? Let's quickly do one more thing. Let's quickly make some changes in the file and we'll upload once again. I will show you the versioning. Okay, I changed the content of the file and we'll upload the file again with the same name, of course. If you will upload with different name, then it won't be versioning. It would be altogether different file then. So we'll close this and we'll upload once again. Add files, sample file, and upload. That's done. The file is uploaded again. So you can see this one. This is the file. Okay. We'll go back to my bucket because I didn't create any folder, right? I'm directly copying the file here. So this is my file, and you can select this. As soon as you will select, right, there will be many options. Copy S3 URL. And there is a copy URL as well. These are two different things. One is for browser, one is for programmatic access. Download. If you want to download the file, open in the sense it will try to open just in a read-only format in the browser. You cannot edit, but it can show you on the browser. You can delete this file, and if you want to try a few more things, there can be few more things here. You see this. Calculate total size, copy, you can do copy into some other folder, you can move it, and query with S3 select. This is like you can, if it's a CSV data, comma separated values, you can even do some query on that. Renaming is there, edit storage class, server side encryption, many things are there. Right? Let's click on that file name. Let's see what are the other details we have. Okay, so you can see that once I clicked on file name, it is telling you who is the owner of that file. That's my username. Region is there, last modified, size, type, and object URL, the complete path, HTTP, my bucket name, something, and resource name, ARN, Amazon resource name, ARN, S3 URI. Okay, go to permissions, you will find some details. Who is the owner of this file and what is the access and all these things. Okay, coming to versions, that's what we are looking for, right? Yeah, you see now there are two versions. This one, some unique version ID is there. Current version, that's current version, and this one is the the previous version. If you will upload once again, right, it will show one more. There will be three versions maintained. Let's see what are the actions we have. Okay, you have to select first. Let's select this one, the older version, right, the first version, and we'll click on action and same option basically. Okay, so if you want to download a specific version, suppose you would download the older version, you can do that, or you want to delete it, you want to do that as well. And if you want to select multiple versions or like that, you can do. Okay, so this is about how to create a bucket, how to upload a file, what are the different configuration, all these things. So let me go back to my slides. I didn't open the slide from beginning. Let me quickly check. Bucket we talked about, object ownership we talked about, server-side encryption we talked about, uploading the file we did, versioning of file we did, storage classes we talked about, right? Okay, so I think that's for today. If you have any doubts, any question, because I keep usually last 15 minutes for doubt clearing and all, so you can ask me that.
Hey Neeraj, can you tell more about web hosting once? Website hosting.
Okay, website hosting is you can create some HTML file and you can treat them, you can upload into S3, and that can work as a you can say your website. So we may need to create some file. I don't have handy as of now. I will prepare over the weekend, like we'll prepare few HTML file, maybe one or two HTML file, and we'll copy few images over there so that we can display some content on the website and we can display some, I would say, some pictures on there, something like that. Okay, let's check it out as you are asking, right? Let's go.
Great.
And there was some website hosting stuff somewhere where it was. It was there. So static website hosting is disabled by default. Let's enable it. We'll enable this. So we'll go with this one, the first option. Host a static website. Index document. We can give anything. Maybe index.html is fine. Index. This is the first page basically. From that page you can navigate here and there. Index.html. Error document is not required. Suppose some error is coming, right? You can provide some error.html as well. Redirection rules. I don't think we require that. And save changes. Okay, let's try to upload some HTML. Let me create some HTML file first. I'm not HTML expert, but let's try HTML. Otherwise, let's do one thing. Let's copy from internet. It would be quite faster.
Yeah.
Everything is going to advertisement. What is this? No results are coming.
That's like different web search engine. Maybe try Google search.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it's Google. Oh my God. Even this one does not have anything. Okay, let me try by myself. Okay.
So if you have your personal domain, if you buy some domain website, so you can host that.
We can link that. Yes.
Oh,
We will
awesome.
do it in our S3 website, but later on we can link the domain name with our website.
Okay.
Neeraj, I've sent some sample HTML on the chat.
Yeah, that's good. Let me use that. Okay, that's good. That I was looking for. Index.html. Okay. Let's create a folder. Oh, my bad. We'll create a folder, not add a folder. We can create a folder here. Create folder. Okay. Create folder. Now inside this folder, website hosting, we'll upload our HTML file, add files, HTML index.html, and upload. That's all done. Let's click on this file. We will get the complete URL, right? We'll copy from there. It's here. Let's click directly here now. Something is there. Access denied. Okay, maybe we disabled that. What to say? Public access and something. Right? Let's quickly try that. Bucket. Okay, it's still not opening. Okay, anyway, I will figure it out. There is definitely some configuration or some security check we have to find out. But ultimately, the point is the concept, like you can have static HTML pages and along with your images or something. Basically, it's only for static content. If you want to do something, some database connection or some interactive session, right? That may not be possible. But yes, static content like opening one page, then there is a link which take you to the next page. There are images, that type of stuff we can do. So I will explore this on this weekend, and we will do this thing and the remaining topics of S3, right? Because we have a few more topics left. We'll do those topics. Bucket level policy we did not talk about. Cross region replication we did not talk about, and this cross account access, right? All these things we'll talk about on that day.
Thank
I have a question.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Rohit, go ahead.
No, I was just saying thank you.
Okay. Yes,
So
Ryan,
like,
please go ahead.
so like Neeraj, on a company level, I'm assuming that the developer is not going to upload any specific file from their system. It will either coming from any FTP server or somewhere else, or from any vendor.
Yes, right. So as we said, like programmatically, you can write the data into S3. So maybe there is some job running, and that job is putting the output into S3. That can be one of the possibility. Or there can be some other teams, they are working on some other tools, and their output is input to you, because usually the pipelines works like that. They did some processing on their data, and now they are dumping data into your S3 bucket. From there, you will pick the data, you will do some processing, and you will put the output into some other bucket. That can be the input to some other team. It's like that. So as you say, right, we may not be uploading the data manually in real project scenario. It will be coming from somewhere.
Are we going to cover that, like how we can programmatically upload a file?
We'll do that.
Okay.
Absolutely. We'll upload the file, as well as suppose we are running a Spark job, or we are running something on Python, and whatever is our output, right, instead of displaying the output on a console, because that does not fulfill any purpose, right? Because ultimately I want my output stored somewhere. So we'll write a Python code, and the output, instead of displaying there, it will write into S3.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other question from anyone else?
Like, is that similar to SSH connection with local for sending the output to S3?
No, absolutely not. SSH connection is just a, I would say it's a way to interact with your system. You can execute some commands. Suppose I have an EC2 server, and that is located somewhere else, but I want to access it. So what I will do is I will open the terminal on my system, or if it's a Windows system, then I can use putty or some software, right? I can provide the IP address of that system, and I can connect to that by providing a username and password. That is an SSH connection. It's not, you are not pushing the data or something. You are just connecting to it, and you can execute any command. But whatever we talked here, that means you are executing your program. You may be executing some SQL query, maybe executing some Python code or something else, and whatever is the output, that would be sent to S3. Or there can be other type of target as well. You may write into Redshift, you may write into DynamoDB, you may write into something else. Okay, there is one more thing, trigger based execution. Suppose tomorrow you are saying that this one is my bucket. Let me go to back. Okay, this one is my bucket. You say that any point of time, if someone is copying any file into my folder, I want to trigger some process. Suppose lambda function. Lambda function is for processing. So you are saying that there is another team, they can put the data at any point of time. We don't know the fixed timing, but as and when they are putting the data, I want that immediately my lambda should trigger, and it should process the file. That can also be done. It's a trigger based invocation. So we can define that, okay, the file came into my bucket, immediately some process will start, and it will process your data. So there is no manual intervention required in that case. We'll talk about all these things. We'll do all the things practically. Just keep on doing the things along with me in the sense, like on daily basis, you can try doing all these things, but don't try to do during the class, because if you try to do during the class, right, you won't be understanding the concept in a can say confident manner, because you are trying along with that. So you may do it, but you will not get the confidence. So try to understand the concept during the class, and after the class, now you know the concept, what is bucket, what is versioning, what is server side encryption. Then you try to do the things practically on your trial account. Okay, so with this, I think we are good. If there is no doubt from anyone, we can close for the day. Okay, so I will be sharing, not sharing basically, because the links are already with you. You can click on the recording link. You will find one more class recording there, and you can click on the Google folder. You will find one more PDF there, right? So I will be sending all these things. I will be uploading all these things shortly on Google Drive and YouTube. And as we discussed, the next class will be on Sunday evening US time, same timing and same meeting link. Okay, so that's all. Have a happy weekend. Enjoy your weekend. See you guys in the next class. Thank you.
You too.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.